Well, let me tell you something, brother. With these icons at Survivor Series in my team, nobody beats us. And we have a Herculean partner that will blow your mind. Brother. Hola, amigos, it's Will here from Will's Custom Figures, coming at you today with a big bad breakdown of none other than WWF OG wrestler Hercules Hernandez. So please guys, sit back and relax while I talk you through how and why I made this powerhouse of the WWF glory years. His chain-swinging strongman and the most underrated brutes, in my opinion, of the 80s and early 90s. Now, this isn't my first time working on Hercules, but I wanted to revisit his classic Roman Gladiator look, the version that fans remember from his Heenan family run, the feuds with Hulk Hogan, the Power Shadows run with the Ultimate Warrior, and of course in his tag team run with Power and Glory and Paul Roma being the most notable of all of his runs. Now, this one was a really fun build, and I'm excited to show you a little bit of history about him and how it all turned out. Now let's line him up against some of the all-time greats from this area. Rest in peace to all three of these wrestlers, Warrior, Hercules, and of course Hulk Hogan, sadly passing earlier this year. As you can see, he sits perfectly in the late 80s and 90s scale with the big shoulders, thick arms, and that unmistakable Hercules presence. Now, comparing him to Hulk Hogan here, you can see in this showdown, I'm surprised that Hasbro never worked on this figure. Of course, there are a lot of intricacies to the outfit, which I've tried to capture in custom figure form that might have been quite difficult to just print money and deliver these during the 90s and send out to adoring kids and fans around the world. However, as a custom figure, I just had to work on it. This ripped muscular torso, of course, unmistakably the British Bulldog base. And here he is next to some of the other contemporaries. You've got Scotty Steiner, Sergeant Slaughter, and of course, the Warlord. And Hercules held his own during this era against all of these fantastic icons. And they all had their own versions of their figures. Where was Hercules? That's where Will's Custom Figures step in, and I've got an absolute duty and an honour to immortalise him. Now a bit into the history of this man. He was born Raymond Fernandez on May 7th, 1956 in Tampa, Florida. Here he is next to Goldberg from WCW and a more recent WWE Retro rather than the WWF Hasbro figures in the previous parts of this video. Now he eventually hit the big time in WWF in 1985. I have built multiple versions of him over the years, and he really does stick out as one of those people that is missing from the icons that were created and made in plastic action figure form. Brutus Beefcake, joined by, of course, an absolutely beaten down version of Bret the Hitman Hart. Don't worry, guys, eventually I will work on this and I will finish a custom figure using this Bret body base. Loving all the iconic pictures here, like that program with him on and bringing in Rowdy Roddy Piper. So many of these legends have unfortunately passed away now. Now, Hercules started his WWF run and he was managed by Classy Freddie Blassie. And he even competed at WrestleMania 2 against Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Here he is against Bam Bam, looking very cool. Later, his contract was sold to Bobby the Brain Heenan, and this is where, of course, the Heenan family and the character really took off. Now, as you can see in the background here, there is a few stages of this custom figure process. Here he is with the British Bulldog base. Of course, you can see very iconic appearance here by the Bulldog, but a very muscular, chiseled physique for me to use as a base and of course apply the clay on. Now this, as you can see, is a 3D head sculpt of Herc, and then I have used clay on top of that to create the wider, more bushier hair, which is absolutely paramount to get in this action figure in his most iconic badass appearance possible. Just zooming in there, and here you can see it doesn't really look like British Bulldog anymore after all the customization. I'm so happy with the little intricate details that I've created and added to this figure. Now I really wanted to paint this with those piercing eyes and that massive brown bushy hair as the centerpiece, and I really think that it has pulled off. I've used a mix of Citadel's Kislev flesh, Vallejo's Beastie Brown, Leather Brown, and everything else in between to pull this off. I've also used a gloss varnish for the eyes, for the mouth, for some of the buttons,
I used a bronze and gold over there, and I've even added on the little straps over his gauntlets on his forearms. You can see some absolutely classic images with Jim Ross and good old Jim Cornette there. And using just some old bits of plastic that I had in some wrapping from my television, I cut these down to size and stuck them on. Really happy. You can see the British Bulldog, slightly the Union Jack logo on the back. Now there are lots of small details like the Union Jack on the pants you could just see there that almost pay homage to the original British Bulldog figure. However, things like the knee pads I've covered up with Milliput clay, and I've tried to get as many of the smaller details in there as possible. Now coming to the close of this video, what are my final reflections? Overall, Hercules is one of those wrestlers who doesn't always get the spotlight, but he absolutely left his mark on the professional wrestling world. From power feuds in the WWF with the Heenan family, his tag team success, of course, in Power and Glory, all the way to his run in Japan, where he actually became the IWGP Tag Team Champions in '93 with Scott Norton. He had an incredible career, sadly passing away in 2004 at just 47 years old. But his legacy as one of wrestling's true powerhouses lives on. Now what's next for this channel, guys? I've got loads more coming up. I've got a Vince McMahon classic outfit. I've got Gorilla Monsoon, Jesse Ventura, the Goblin Queen from Marvel, the Ventriloquist from DC, the Brood Era Edge from modern day wrestling, and Pokemon like Gyarados and Magikarp. Now thanks so much for watching this custom Hercules showcase. I genuinely appreciate everyone who takes the time to support this channel. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, drop a comment in the comments section below. Time for a montage, by the way, and subscribe for more custom figures, builds, reviews, behind the scenes sculpted. It really helps with the channel to grow and lets me keep bringing you these unique creations and one of a kind custom. Can't wait to see you guys on the next one. Hope you're having a great festive season. From me, from Hercules Hernandez and all you WWF fans out there, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Adios!